There's something in you that Satan doesn't want to get out. Keep watching to learn what it is and the lies he perpetrates to hold it back. As I explain in my book, Silence Satan, one of the devil's greatest goals is to silence you. He knows that inside each of us is something so powerful that, when released, mightily impacts those it touches. It's your story. Yes, your story is a container of hope to hearers, that God will provide them with the same transformation, deliverance, healing, or breakthrough that He provided you. With the potential for such effect, it's no surprise that the devil works desperately to keep your story locked deep inside you, never to be heard by the likes of listeners. And to accomplish this, he perpetrates two potent lies that you need to know. The first is one with which many are profoundly familiar. You've done too much. In order to build evidence for this, he begins with his incriminating reminders of the past. Look at all the mistakes you've committed, or the sins that you've made. Then, heads up, here come his silencers. You're too messed up, you're too dirty, or you're too far gone. His aim is to convince you that you haven't lived a good enough life to be an example for anyone. Therefore, you should keep your mouth shut and never attempt to share your story. This silencing strategy is one of Satan's most effective. Perhaps even as I speak, you realize that you've succumbed to something similar and allowed the devil to muzzle your mouth. Others, however, have heard a very different line. It's one that's not as often recognized, but is equally as suppressing. You haven't done enough. Many of those raised in a godly home have surrendered to this one without ever realizing it. It's the notion that you don't have a testimony. Because you haven't struggled with some addiction or fallen into filth, you have nothing that will impact anyone. Therefore, you too should keep quiet. But these are lies. The truth is, we all have a story that God will use to relate something about His power to someone in some way. Yours might be a testimony about God's power of deliverance from drugs, promiscuity, or rejection. Or it might be about God's power to keep you from those things. Both are equally as necessary in this world today. So a word of victory to keep in mind is 1 Peter 2:9. It assures that you are chosen by God to proclaim the mighty acts of Him who called you out of darkness and into His marvelous light. This means that God chose you to share your story, which proclaims His glory. Your story might be just the prescription for the addict who needs hope of freedom, the lonely who needs hope of love, the regretful who needs hope of a new start, or the teenager who needs hope that God's power is available to hold them in purity. Whatever your story reveals, don't let up, give up, back up, or shut up, but speak up. It needs to be heard.